let's talk about Achilles. You know the name, the greatest warrior of the Trojan War, a hero so powerful his legend has lasted for thousands of years. But what if I told you the most famous thing about him, his one weakness, isn't actually in the original story at all?
It's a wild thought, isn't it? That we remember this godlike warrior more for his single fatal flaw than for all of his incredible strength. And that idea has become so powerful, it's literally a part of our everyday language.
I mean, come on. You've heard this a million times. An Achilles heel. That one little weak spot that can bring down the biggest and the best of us. So to really understand where that comes from, we've got to go back, way back, to the man himself. Okay, so who was this guy? Well, in the huge, epic world of Greek mythology, Achilles was the guy, the best of the best. He wasn't just a great warrior at Troy, he was a force of nature.
He's the star of the show in Homer's Iliad, which is basically the definitive story of the Trojan War. He commanded an elite force called the Myrmidons, and seriously, his presence alone on the battlefield could decide who won or lost the whole war. So how do you get that powerful? Well, it helps when your mom's a goddess.
Yeah, his power wasn't just about training and skill. His whole origin story is just as epic as his life. We're talking gods, prophecies, fate, the whole shebang. So check this out. Achilles was a demigod. His mother was Thetis, a sea nymph, and his dad was Peleus, a mortal king. Now, the king of the gods, Zeus, actually wanted to marry Thetis, but a prophecy warned him that her son would grow up to be greater than his own father. Zeus, not being a huge fan of getting overthrown, was like, nope, and married her off to a mortal instead. And from the moment he was born, Achilles' life was defined by another prophecy, a choice: live a long, peaceful, forgotten life, or a short, violent one that would make his name live forever. No surprise which one he chose?
And this is where the story you think you know gets really interesting. The whole thing with his mom dipping him in the river Styx to make him invincible, the part that gives us the Achilles heel, it's not in the original story at all. In Homer's Iliad, there's no mention of it. He was just the world's best fighter, trained by a wise centaur named Chiron, before he made that fateful choice to sail for Troy.
And that brings us right to the heart of the Iliad, because here's the secret. Homer's epic poem isn't really about the Trojan War. It's about the rage of one man, Achilles, and how that rage almost brought everything crashing down.
It all kicks off with a massive insult. Agamemnon, the leader of the Greeks, publicly humiliates Achilles by taking away Briseis, a captive woman. For a hero whose entire life is built on honor and glory, this was a slap in the face. So Achilles quits. He pulls himself and his warriors out of the fight. And without their superstar player, the Greeks get absolutely demolished. They're pushed back to their own ships on the very edge of total defeat.
But his pride could only keep him on the sidelines for so long. The thing that finally pulls him back into the war isn't a plea for help. It's a tragedy so deep it changes him from a sulking hero into an unstoppable machine of pure vengeance.
Seeing how bad things are, Achilles' best friend, Patroclus, begs him, "Let me wear your armor and fight. It'll rally the troops." Achilles agrees, but it's a fatal mistake. Patroclus is killed in battle by the great Trojan prince, Hector. When Achilles gets the news, it doesn't just make him sad, it shatters him. And all that grief quickly turns into a terrifying, all-consuming rage. The sheer savagery in his words here, it shows you everything has changed. This isn't about war or honor anymore. It is deeply, brutally personal. When he finally gets his hands on Hector, he says this, promising not just to kill him, but to completely destroy him.
He hunts Hector down, and they have their epic showdown. Achilles wins, but killing him is not enough, not even close. In an act of shocking cruelty, he ties Hector's body to his chariot and drags it through the dirt around the walls of Troy, forcing his family to watch.
So, a warrior like that, a force like that, how does he finally fall? Well, remember, he chose the short, glorious life. His end was always coming. And just like the rest of his story, the way it happens is a bit more complicated than the legend we all know.
The myths that came after the Iliad tell us that Achilles is killed near the end of the war, and the man who does it isn't some great hero. It's Paris, the guy who started this whole mess by running off with Helen, and he does it with an arrow.
And this comparison right here, this is the whole thing. This is how a myth evolves. In the original Iliad, Achilles is the best fighter alive, but he's a mortal man. He can be hurt. He bleeds. The whole idea of him being invulnerable, that doesn't show up for centuries. It was a detail added later, a really cool storytelling twist to explain how the world's greatest warrior could be taken down.
And that's the version, the story of the heel, that really stuck.
So, while the man, Achilles, died on the battlefield at Troy, his legend became truly immortal. It just kept growing and changing, weaving itself right into the fabric of our culture.
And his impact is just incredible. We use his name for our weaknesses. We even have a part of our body named after him, the Achilles tendon. Conquerors like Alexander the Great wanted to be him. And for 3,000 years, we've been telling his story of rage, grief, and glory. In art, books, poems, and even Hollywood blockbusters. He just keeps finding a new audience.
All of which leaves us with one final thought. Achilles was the strongest, the fastest, the best. But maybe the reason his story has lasted so long isn't because of his superhuman strength. Maybe it's because of his very human flaws, his pride, his grief, his rage. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is it that truly defines a hero? Is it their greatest strength? Or is it the weakness that makes them just like us?